Let's go live to Tel Aviv, Israel. NBC News correspondent Yasmin Vossoughian is standing by there. Yasmin, what's the reaction that you're hearing so far?
I think, Mika, it's important to be frank about the situation here in the Middle East. And it feels as if President Trump has literally dropped a nuclear bomb on the Middle East. Lemire is right in that Donald Trump campaigned on getting the United States out of foreign wars. It feels as if, after yesterday evening, standing aside Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu, that Donald Trump may very well have gotten the United States into another war. This is the type of rhetoric that will unite, that can feasibly unite the Middle East, right? We have heard from MBS of Saudi Arabia denouncing what Donald Trump has said. We have heard, obviously, from Islamic militants, from the Palestinian Authority to Islamic Jihad to Hamas, who have all understandably denounced what Donald Trump has said. We have heard Iran denouncing what Donald Trump has said. Even from Egypt and the foreign minister, not necessarily directly addressing, but instead saying we will continue to rebuild Gaza. As Richard mentioned, we know that the Jordanian king will be heading to Washington on February 11th. The president of Egypt heading to Washington Thursday as well. Obviously, Donald Trump wanting to bring key players to try and put this plan into motion. But across the Middle East, there is a real deep dissatisfaction and anger with what President Trump is proposing. And yet, if you look to the right wing of the Israeli government, they, in fact, are celebrating this notion of the United States taking over Gaza. But it's the Israeli citizens that I've spoken to here in Tel Aviv and the Palestinians in Gaza, who our team on the ground have spoken to as well, who also think this idea is out of the realm of possibility and not something anyone wants for a real lasting peace. Let's take a listen to them, Mika, and then we'll talk on the other side.
We can't leave our homes. How you dare? How dare you to say you should leave your homes? We can't. This is Palestine, and we Palestinians are the only ones who have the right to live here and never to leave it.
We will never leave our town. Palestine for us, this is never changing.
I mean, there are people live there. There is Gazan civilians who lives in Gaza. I don't understand the idea of just taking over.
Richard is right, is that it feels as if Donald Trump is forgetting about history. One of the reasons why Hamas, Mika, came into power in 2006 is because Hamas essentially promised infrastructure, right? They promised schooling, they promised food, they promised aid. The person, the people, the organizations, the country that will win the hearts and the minds, for instance, of the Palestinians remaining on their land will be the people that are providing them with the infrastructure, the aid, the food, the water that they desperately need, and the infrastructure, for instance, to rebuild. I just want to say one final thing, right? As we were looking to Los Angeles and the wildfires that happened there in the Palisades, you saw major destruction, and people were incredibly upset over losing their personal belongings and their homes. But it was really about the community, right? The churches, the schools, the coffee shops in which so many of them convene. These Gazans have walked, marched, driven thousands of miles, right, back to their homes in North Gaza after this ceasefire to commune in rubble because this is their homeland. This is where they want to remain, not because of the structures in which they have lived in, Mika, but because of the community they have been surrounded by, the families and the people they know. And that, it seems, is something that is being lost by both the president of the United States along with Prime Minister Bibi Netanyahu, Mika.
NBC's Yasmin Vossoughian, thank you so much for your coverage live from Tel Aviv. We appreciate it.